What's going on, everybody? It is Charlize Walker of Lisa's Business Enterprise here with another nonprofit knowledge tip. Today, I am going to be talking about an NDA. And what is an NDA? An NDA basically is an abbreviation for non disclosure agreement, and it is just an agreement to keep certain information confidential. I am going to throw this disclaimer out there. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney. I'm not trying to give you legal advice, but I've been in a nonprofit industry for over 10 years, and I have been consulting nonprofit leaders for about 5 years now. So, with that being said, I have heard some stories, some disappointing stories that have happened in the nonprofit world, but it is some things, or I don't want to say things, there's some policies that you can put in place that can help protect your nonprofit's information and your nonprofit's name as well. So, first off, your board of directors has a fiduciary duty to keep certain information private, to keep certain information private. If you have your bylaws and if you have a board of director manual, this is going to cover that. Remember, I should say, your bylaws are your nonprofit's handbook, pretty much for them. So that will, in the board manual, will cover that. This is part of your board governance documents, okay? You can see that video that I did on those documents as well. But it's very good because anyone that is basically working with your organization, working outside your organization, should sign a non-disclosure agreement, and that should be like a firm policy everybody applies. And if you're working in any type of, even if you work for profit, or if you've done any consulting work at all, they have you sign a non-disclosure agreement. I guarantee, go back and look through your paperwork, whatever job, if you got an hourly job, if you got a salary job or anything, you sign a non-disclosure agreement too, and everything. You probably just got a confidential. Yes, you signed one as well. And so I would say anyone like volunteers, consultants, your advisory board, people that's working outside, just coming in, such as like a grant writer. We had hired a professional grant writer, I want to say it was last year, and we had a non disclosure agreement for grant writers. We have a non disclosure agreement for our volunteers because they are privy to certain information. Especially depending on what they're working on, what project or anything that they're working on, that they have. So, for instance, like the grant writer, they have access to our banking information. So we want them to keep that between them and establish the relationship first and foremost, and also establishes, hey, don't be using our information for nothing else other than what you're supposed to use for this project as well. Same thing for your employees, your volunteers, any consultants that you work with. They should be more than happy to sign the non-disclosure agreement. And I would say if you're working with somebody new, especially outside the organization, if they don't want to do it, then that can be your sign that no, you probably don't want to work with them. But some key elements, I would say some things that you should have in your non-disclosure agreement is going to have basically what a non-disclosure is, the definition of what is deemed to be confidential, identification of the parties who is covered under this non-disclosure agreement, the scope of the confidentiality obligation by the receiving person or the receiving party, it's the exclusions from confidential treatment and the terms of the agreement. Those some good key elements to have in a non-disclosure agreement. And you know what? What happens if someone breaks a non-disclosure agreement? What if they break the NDA, Charlie? So violating the NDA can bring on a lawsuit. So if somebody breaks the NDA agreement, say if they took your information, stole it, used it for themselves or anything, or they used it to create something else, or they took your work and started something else, you can actually sue that person because you already have the paper trail to say, hey, I told you this is what I defined, this is for this work, this is not to be carried outside the organization. You knew you had this, you were privy to this information for this purpose, for this project or whatever, but it is not for you to go out and create your own. So that covers you. So an NDA is a good thing to have to basically keep your information private and keep your information confidential and not to be used. So hopefully that is something that you can use, some knowledge that you can use for your organization and apply it as well. And if you're just starting a nonprofit organization, or if you're like within the beginning stages of your organization, I am taking new clients. You can go to lisasbusiness.com, go to the nonprofit consult tab, and you can scroll down. That first one, you can just fill out the information. I can see how I can help you. My best work is with governance documents, but I do help in other areas. But if you say, hey, I think I get it, I think I can follow along with you, Charlize, scroll all the way, keep scrolling, you'll see the video, scroll down, and you can see some more documents that you can use, some samples, some templates, some freebies, some free stuff that, help you check if your organization is going the right direction, and also have some other things like the grants list starter pack as well. If you apply for grants, the grants, seed grants, some in kind donations, and other different types of information for you that you can get even more grants. And I'll actually put the information on there of different my bookshelf and stuff like that that I have utilized over the years that have helped our organization. Okay, so hope this information helps you and everything. If you have any questions or concerns, definitely put in the comments, or you can shoot me an email if you want me to do a video on the question that you have.